I really appreciate all of these one-off entries we're getting as a sort of follow-up to the full album debut of Exile, though I don't know if they all share similar backstories to The Brink, in that I'm thinking of these two descendants of that song, but that one is inspiration considering, I believe, if I remember this declaration right, that number was intended to be a consideration on Exile's lineup, and then for whatever reason, I forget exactly at the moment if that was voiced, the consideration was abandoned, but we still received the song later in its fully realized form. Similar to the last piece we humored together in a collaborative respect, which I've said many times is the best way to enjoy music, however you approach, whether on introductory grounds or like me, being a longtime Demon Hunter fan. But some of us, again, we experienced that piece together, and now we're getting a taste of Worlds Apart. Whatever it is, single or album, and you remember, I'm sure many of you, we took that journey through Exile fully, and it was quite an honor, not only for myself, but in satisfying a long-time ambition to recognize a talent that I've been following for 13, 14, it's probably changed, it's probably 14-ish at this point, but of their 20 or 21 year existence, Demon Hunter is a name I greatly respect, I have for many years. And if you've never welcomed yourself into the graces of this band, they've got quite a library that you should humor, and I could recommend every song to you. There's not been at this point one song or artist I've not loved recognizing in mutual company, whether it be a familiarized name to me or a fresh introduction we take together. In many cases, those introductions are simultaneous. And we have, I think, a great time, you and I. Though again, I welcome anybody in respect, whether it be longtime fans or new listeners. I really hope you feel at home here with any artist we recognize, and certainly a name like Demon Hunter, right? A big influence, not only a favorite one in the metal scene for many, but of the Christian metal sphere. They've been around for many years, quite a legacy. And there's plenty of other names that are a great equivalent, maybe not necessarily in duration, but of potency of name and of reverence and force in that sphere alone. Again, I've spoken before, my first and foremost explorations into the music world were Christian music, as what I was raised on, namely of the contemporary and worship stripes, but it didn't take that long for metal to make its way in through rock music introduction, namely. And since I've expanded my considerations of what I humor regularly on many repeat listens in a much broader sense than even child me would even recognize. There are so many artists around, not just in America, certainly, we've humored a number of them here and many more upcoming, but in a worldwide respect, so many beautiful names in the metal sphere. Demon Hunter is a favorite one for me and for many others, and I hope that you feel the same way if this is a fresh introduction for you with Worlds Apart. And it won't be the last entry. You know, of course, as I leave it, as I was saying, with every artist here in recognition, open door policy to any new developments, and for Demon Hunter, I would never say anything different. I will also tell you that I won't get ahead of where I'm going, because it's going to take some time for this to be fleshed out, but it won't be our last entrance, at least of recent standing. Now, again, new developments considered, certainly. If that ever comes up, I'm all game, and that won't take as long as what I'm thinking of for a return appearance for Demon Hunter. I think some of you maybe know what I'm implying, though I don't think you necessarily understand at present, you'll see, but I don't think you understand the consideration of what I have intended and what I actually have slated so far in Phase 2, and I've also been thinking of for months now. It took years to bring them on as consideration, and for collaborative music consultations, I call them to be in an active format here, and to have such a mainstay, but it won't take as long for what I'm planning. And I think if you're a Demon Hunter fan, you're going to be really appreciative of the time we're going to spend together. I'm looking forward to it, and if you're an initiate listener to their work, you're going to have a fun opportunity. Again, I'm keeping mum, but you'll see in the future. For now, let's experience a new number in our mutual graces together in the time we have. And quite a fortunate position, I feel, like I do any artist. I'm quite honored to be on this ride with you. Whether you are, like I said, a longtime fan or an initiate listener, this could be your doorway in. I'm looking forward to hearing it. I haven't humored it yet. I've stayed away from it so we can recognize it in a fresh lens. Let's humor Worlds Apart together and return back to Demon Hunter. Beautiful. I hear their voice immediately in the riff structure. For now, I'm sensing a an aggressive turn, following Mo in the path of some of us. It's great to have that root expressed again. We have a great key evolution, too. I love the notes as orchestrated here. Good balance to the verse.
Here in the wake
Elevated notes in the tail, I like the decision. Differentiated breaths, really good choice to this. And the lighter twinges on the note elevations are such a good touch. Again, Ryan's a favorite for me. Perfect blend. Shifts between vocal extremes are really nice, between ballad and unclean, but this one has such a good tracking feel to it, I think. I'm so glad I went into this fresh. And I was tempted to humor it in advance, but... to get a rewind to establish Demon Hunter voice is beautiful. This is like Roots kickback right now. Where are we going? Break? I think so. This one evolves well. And I have a feeling it's going to be an appeasement to anybody, any Demon Hunter fan. I'm considering the Exile response in consideration of what I just said. Man, that's strong. There's a return to the chorus. I think it's just 2 refrains for this song. Not a bad idea. It works for it. The refrain here scratches that itch for free entries of a chorus refrain. The key pick for those chorus sections and Ryan's decision to embark on the melodic, which again, if you're not familiar with Ryan Clark, he plays both extremes well. And as I've said, go witness any piece of Demon Hunter's library just on recommendation and you will thank me. I'm not looking for praise on that. I'm just saying if you want to get an understanding of how capable this group is on voice, you will appreciate Demon Hunter's capabilities. And when you see for yourself the balance between different extremes between the melodic and the unclean, as you see here, you'll really understand Ryan's clear finesse with this line. The key is a beautiful match to where he goes on range, especially the descent back. I think it's on the, it's from the, I think it's an G flat, I believe. That pattern of notes really works well, especially how the transition drifts into the next line with the chorus. That line being, so after to pull our worlds apart, I need this separation. You notice how each line floats. There's this cohesion between key pick and the way that Ryan structures his voice. And again, it's 2 layers coming in, but it's just this great execution that again is so finely tuned. I really appreciate what I hear here. And it's really, like, for me, as I said, is such a beautiful reminder of Demon Hunter and the harsher roots. With, again, well, I'd say actually, it feels like, which one is this, like, really standing out to me with? Let me see. Which album entry is, I think, the closest approximate? I'm jumping between, in reference. It would be fitting for Exile. I'm not necessarily considering the immersion of concept on that with the way the lyrics go. I'm just saying musically. I'm placing it kind of between, I guess, the territory of, and you could go back further if you wanted to. There's enough material here to go back in your mind to, maybe all the way back to the self-titled record and be like, oh yes, I see roots there, and I see that too. But I'm saying, for me, with the vocal pair between the melodic and the harsh and the key choice, and even the ambient background voices too, interwoven in, and the decision to have it married to the score evolution, it's closest to me, at least on extreme. War and Peace immediately come to mind, but I'm tempted to dig back even deeper, maybe to True Defiance. Explicitly for me, I get, yes, Outlive. I think it's Outlive I'm hearing. I'm kind of jostling between Extremist and Outlive. Not as much True Defiance. It could fit in the voice of True Defiance, but it really feels like it'd be it feels like it's, for me, more of a dig into the territory of Outlive, and I love that record, as I do of any Demon Hunter release. And I did with Exile. I think because of what I've seen in response, as I said, I think this is a piece that, because of the mixture of elements and how satisfactorily each one is interwoven in, will appease any Demon Hunter extreme, whether you happen to be a fan of the softer numbers or the harsher. And I say this in respect again to Exile, because I first and foremost consider your responses as identified in your comments with our time together again in the collaborative respect. I did note that there were some of you who were saying that in some respects Exile was to your liking, but then there were other numbers that might not have been your first and foremost favorites, to put it kindly. Though again, I liked everything. That's just my point of view again and how I approach everything. I'm not one to rank things either, but I was quite fascinated by the evolution and differentiation of voice and evolution of experimental angles as well to Exile. There's some new traits embodied in that album, paired with, again, the first concept direction, explicitly concept. I was very impressed in the lyrical translation, identification of theme as interwoven by, especially, I have my top favorites of that album too, and they tend to be the harsher ones, right, on those numbers. Again, I naturally gravitate to more aggressive metal, so Freedom is Dead. I still freaking love Chemicals. That number always gets me. And some of the softer numbers too. Heaven, I think it was Heaven Don't Cry. I forget the exact name at the moment, but some of those ones really stuck out. The singles especially that are coming out after. But I see, because again of the mixture of elements here. And there's, I think, a good even play between Unclean and Clean, where it still has that aggressive backing that, for any Demon Hunter fan of the more aggressive voice that might have wanted that full realization on Exile, and you weren't as much a fan of the mixture, I think this is a good appeasement piece. Now, that's just me. I don't want to speak for you, but that's just my presumption, because I consider the balance of this number and how it's voiced, and I'm quite impressed, because it still embodies that natural Demon Hunter capability with a good concept, good writing, paired with beautiful vocal execution on part of Ryan, and the band support as well with the musical foundation. The instrumentals here really click with a beautiful key choice, a favorite of mine, the evident tragic nature to it, and even the visualizer sense. I know it's just a lyrical video, but the picture, I really like the yellow tone. Not enough artists play around, I think, with yellow in the music space, and that I think it's a saffron color, or sort of like a Scotch broom equivalent, or desert sky. It's great. I don't know, it's probably one of the, that's just a random thing I pick out, but hey, I appreciate it. In all respects to this number, I think it has potential to be a well-regarded and well-remembered single release. Whatever the nature is to this one, and I haven't, again, looked into the backstory, but I will. If you have any points to it in terms of understanding of Worlds Apart and sort of a story of where this number is coming from, whether it's just maybe an Exile one-off or something different. Maybe there's just a band release of, hey, we were working on this and it sounds good as a single. Maybe it's a fanfare to something upcoming. I don't know. Maybe I haven't read into this yet. There could be some surprises along the way for me in terms of discovery that I'll find out in post. I quite like it, though, as an individual number, and as a Demon Hunter entry, it is impressive. It's quite beautiful, I think. That's just my opinion, though. And again, first and foremost, music is a subjective art, so I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, whatever perspective you come from as well. Longtime Demon Hunter fans like myself that maybe even predate me. I know there are probably some of you. But for initiate listeners, developing, right? Maybe your first doorway in. What do you think? Does this compel you to dig deeper? You should, I think. As I'm sure any other DH fan would voice. That's license for you to chime in if those comments come up. Anyway, I think it's great. It's a beautiful single. I've been resistive again to listening to it for a little while now because I wanted to humor it with you. And fresh introductions wise, I think it's the best way to enjoy music. And with Demon Hunter, I love giving them that honor. Their music truly does impress me. I consider the years I've followed this band and I don't regret a single moment of it. Because, again, of the craftsmanship I hear, and one of my earliest introductions into the Christian metal world, and what spiraled me into such a love for metal generally. Demon Hunter, first and foremost, has that credit, alongside some other particular Christian favorites of mine, some of which you know. Worlds Apart stands very well in their lineup, in my opinion, to some of my particular favorites of more recent standing. The mixture between clean and unclean, I really see a similarity among some of the newer publications, and I think this one is well melded to that type of direction, while still satisfying on the Demon Hunter roots that so many fans long revere, like myself. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.